HarperCollins presents Early Morning Riser by Katherine Heiny.
I see gold in the air and promises in our streams. I see love in our hearts and futures in our dreams. Jesse Woods, Gold in the Air. I like it in the light, but the world is different than it was last night. The Weepies, Early Morning Riser. 2002. Jane met Duncan less than a month after she moved to Boyne City. She had locked herself out of her house and had had to ask a neighbor to call a locksmith. She was sitting on her front steps in the early twilight wearing her pajamas. She taught second grade, and it was pajama day, when Duncan drove up in a rust-spotted white van.
"Whoa,"
he said when he saw her.
"Exactly how long have you been waiting?"
He was in his early 40s, with slightly shaggy auburn hair and a full mustache. His eyes were brown with amber flecks, and his features were so symmetrical that his face looked as though it could have been cut from a piece of paper folded in half. He was of medium height, medium build, wearing nothing more distinctive than jeans and a denim shirt, yet he seemed to stand out vividly, like the subject of a photo with a blurred background. To Jane, he looked like the brawny paper towel man, and no less handsome. "Only about 20 minutes, she said. She stood up and gestured at her front door. "I'm afraid you may have to drill the lock out."
"Oh, I doubt that,"
Duncan said.
"I bet we can find another way in. Folks always think their houses are totally safe because they have a couple locks on the front door, and then they call me, and it turns out they've been sleeping with a bedroom window open for half a year. Let's take a walk around."
They circled the house slowly. It was a pretty little one-story house, white with black shutters. Duncan kept stopping to look in the flower beds.
"It's also possible the previous owners left a key in a false rock or some such."
At the back of the house, Duncan pointed to the bathroom window.
"Here's what I'm talking about. I could pop the screen off there and climb right in if the window's not locked."
"Okay," Jane said meekly. He slid the end of a screwdriver under the edge of the screen, and it popped loose with alarming ease. Duncan caught it with one hand.
"Not much crime around here,"
he said to Jane.
"But last year, Shirlene Talbot woke up to find a man making himself a ham sandwich in her kitchen. He was pretty harmless. Turned out he was the Massey's house guest and was too drunk to remember which house they lived in. Still, I'd hate for that to happen to you."
He dragged Jane's garbage can over, climbed on top of it, and pushed the window open. He ducked inside, and a minute later, he opened the front door and called out to her. Jane thanked him and asked him to stay for supper. She had never spontaneously invited a man to stay for supper before, but she was grateful he hadn't charged her anything. Also, she hadn't had a real conversation with a man since she'd moved here, unless you counted the elderly man at Glenn's Market who had asked her to help him find his car. She was 26 years old, tall and slender, with dark blonde hair that looked good in a ponytail, and she didn't need much makeup. That last part was fortunate because she rarely wore any. Her eyebrows and eyelashes were naturally dark, despite the light color of her hair, and her pale blue eyes were almond-shaped, with slightly hooded lids that made eyeshadow pointless and hard to apply. This had baffled Jane in her teen years when she followed step-by-step eyeshadow tutorials in magazines. Wait, where was the crease of her eyelid? Why did she look exactly the same afterward? She had a straight nose and a generous mouth. She was very pretty when she remembered to sit up straight, and pretty enough when she slouched. During supper, Jane made an omelet and a salad. Duncan told her that he was really a woodworker and specialized in custom-made tables and chairs. But since someone wanted one of those only every once in a while, he also did antique furniture restoration and locksmithing, and that he'd grown up in a small town in the Upper Peninsula, and that he used to be married to a real estate agent named Aggie who could not tell the difference between a
Sample complete. Ready to continue?